So we are live. We are back. We are live. We are back. Um, it's been an interesting weekend. It's an incredible day. We are honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. today and his dream because, baby, we're going to need his dream. We are going to need his dream. So I'm really excited to be here and go live again. Um, things are definitely a changing. However, I'm not going to let myself be run off of any platform. Yes, King Day, all about Martin Luther King Jr. today. I remember when it first became a holiday, much like President's Day, right? So it is always the third Monday in January, and it just happens to coincide with another event today. But as for me and my house, it's about Martin Luther King Jr. today. And so I am in my winter arc. And if you've been following me, you've know that I come on and I share what I am doing in my winter arc. And right now it's a little later, but I had a reaction this morning. My face and arms felt like they were literally on fire. So had to deal with that. Okay. So I had to deal with that, and I'm a little delayed because I actually got up early today and intended to go live much earlier, but because of that reaction, we are a little delayed. Thank goodness I keep aloe vera gel and tea tree oil and Benadryl on hand because they came in very handy and timely today. So this morning we are working in the 369 journal. It is in the orange cart. If you click on that, you will find it there. I am going to pin it. It is now pinned, okay? The 369 journal, it is a manifestation journal. And 2025 is a year that we have to be keenly, astutely aware of our emotions and know how to manage them. We have to be keenly, astutely aware of our quote unquote enemies and shield ourselves, protect ourselves. Much of what is going on is spiritual warfare. I cannot stress that enough. There is spiritual warfare going on, and that is why it is very important that you do the inner healing, you do the shadow work, you get in tune with your star player, right? You also need to deal with that childhood trauma that you have because we all have it. None of us is better than the other, despite some people always trying to pretend like, oh, they don't have that. Just like I know people who try to play like they've never been played by a fool by a man. If you haven't, uh, I wish the best for you because it's coming. It is part of the human experience. Okay. Unfortunately, trauma is part of the human experience, but it is what we grow from. It is how we affect change, not only in ourselves, but in the others around us. Okay. So the 369 journal is how I help myself stay focused. It is how I help myself stay centered and grounded. It's one of the ways, right? I am a big fan of journaling. Okay. Before we get into that, we have to take a bite out of the big elephant in the room, right? Look at that. And the big elephant in the room is the fact that this app went dark for about 12, 15 hours, right? Now, I've been talking to y'all from a place of logic about subjects such as did Meta buy TikTok? I firmly believe that Meta did not buy TikTok. Could be wrong, but I firmly believe because there is no way they could do that secretly. That has to be announced publicly. It has to be. Okay. And yes, because it has not so far does not mean it won't be in the future. I still, for several reasons, which I've already outlined, you can go back and you can watch those videos. The fact of the matter is, even trying to rush it through on an emergency basis will not work. Meta is more like, TikTok is more likely to be bought by a company like Oracle, which I believe already has a certain amount of stake in TikTok, or even Walmart. Either way, many of you are very correct in that the app you are using now is different than the app slightly, right? It's just little things that are barely noticeable. It's your intuition that you are listening to. So, congratulations. And thank you for being in tune with your star player, right? There was a time when I would have been caught up in the drama, the dopamine, the adrenaline, like everyone else. And I firmly believe the reason I am not is I have been preparing for this for months. Daily journaling, meditating, praying, and praying specific prayers around protection, transmutation. Okay. And as I've said before, January is my reset month. It is my reset month. But for this day in particular, I have been preparing for this for a few months. And that is why I'm grounded. That is why I am even keeled. That is why I am calm. Why? Because I know, understand, and firmly believe that the way that they can control you is to have your emotional system dysregulated and all over the place, right? How I know this is a spiritual warfare is there is so much confusion. There is so much cognitive dissonance, right? There is so much confusion. There is so much cognitive dissonance. You guys are not listening to your intuition. You're not listening to the facts. You're not arguing the facts. You are arguing with emotion. And it is emotion that is telling you that this app has been bought by Meta. And the answer is staring you right in the face. They have told you everything they are going to do. All of them. All of them. And none of them are on our side. Blink twice if you're okay. I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. None of them are on our side. This is a season where you have to do the inner work. The shadow work journal, that is in the orange card. I have the second edition. The first version is on flash sale for only $7.99, and you get this one for free. Okay? This is a time when you have to not only just want to be a good person and do things the right way, the quote unquote good way. This is a season when you have to get real with yourself about the world and about your role and your place in the world. And right now, your role and your place in the world is number one, to protect your peace and your energy. Okay. Number two, to transmute anything sent to harm you and turn it for your good. I'm not even speaking right now. This is just flowing and coming out. I am the messenger. That is your role right now, to take whatever is being sent to harm you and turn it for your good. That begins with you regulating your emotions. We have to regulate our emotions. We cannot make decisions from fear. We cannot make decisions from anger. We cannot make decisions from any of those lower vibrational states. What book is that in? This is the Miracle Journal. Any of those lower vibrational states, fear, hatred, guilt, despair, anger, right? We were to look at this as Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's down where safety is of concern. Resentment, yes. I see you guys commenting. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Right? We cannot make decisions from down here. We have to regulate our emotions. We have to learn how to get ourselves there and as quickly as possible. That begins with awareness. That's why these journals are so key, for you to be aware and arm yourself and prepare yourself. Now, I can come back and I can also, because my laptop is just not right here for me to be able to do it, I can also talk to you about this from a spiritual warfare perspective, and what is in the Bible for you to, because I am a Christian, okay? I'm very much a Christian. That does not mean I'm not continuing to do the work on deconstructing. You know what I'm talking about, right? But I can still use the Bible. I can still believe in a higher power from a Christian perspective and take that other stuff out, which I've always kind of done anyway, because that's just my nature and part of my purpose here on this journey. Okay. So it is your job to manage your emotions, not anyone else. You cannot help what happens to you. You can only be responsible for how you respond to it, not react. Okay. So, what is the difference between reacting and responding? Reacting is going to come from those lower states that we talked about here. Reacting is going to come from here. Responding is going to come from up here. Responding is a choice. Responding is prepared, right? Today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, right? So there was this movie on HBO about 10, 15 years, more than 10 years ago, about 12, 15 years ago. And it starred, what is his name? He's in another movie right now, but a lighter skinned dude. I cannot think of his name, but he played Martin Luther King. And oh my God, the beautiful lady played Coretta Scott King. Both of their names are escaping me right now. It wasn't Selma, but it was a movie about Martin Luther King Jr. and how everything got started, and in Rosa Parks getting arrested. And one of the things they covered in that movie that I have not really seen covered in other movies, but I learned this from reading Malcolm Gladwell's Blink, I believe, and that is this. When a lot of those people that were protesting in the sit-ins during the civil rights movement, they were actually teenagers. They were in high school and they were in college. And back then, it was normal to graduate high school at like 16, 17 and then be sent to college, right? In fact, I took my oldest daughter on a HBCU college tour in 2010, and on one of the campuses, they have not changed or filled in the bullet holes from the National Guard firing on their campus. And so there are statues and buildings that have the holes in them, and they are there with intention of us never forgetting. Okay. So one of the things that this movie demonstrates and shows you is that those college students, those high school students were not just put out on the street to protest and march and have dogs sicked on them, to have someone spit in their face and call them everything Kent State. Yes. Yes. Not be called everything but a child of God, right? They were prepared for it, much like the Church of Latter-day Saints does when they send their young people out on missions to be prepared. And then they come back and they stand in front of schools, they stand in front of high traffic areas and offer Bibles for free. Same with the Jehovah's Witnesses, being able to knock on people's doors and be called everything but a child of God, be lied to. They are basically trained to not fear rejection. They are trained to know that it is not personal, to know to expect these things and to not react to them. And that is what they did in the civil rights movement. Those children, those people were trained. That is why they were able to do nonviolent protests, not this weakness that y'all want to put out there. Because wanting to use your physical strength to disarm your enemy is a lower frequency reaction. It is a lower frequency reaction. And remember what I said, responding comes from up here. And so they responded with their bodies going limp because they knew the cameras were watching. So the whole nonviolence was not weakness, it was strategic. It was very strategic. It was a show of mental fortitude, of emotional regulation during spiritual warfare. They understood that it was spiritual warfare. I could get really deep here. I don't know if y'all ready for it though. Y'all got to talk to me in the comments. You got to double tap that screen. You got to hit up here and you got to follow, because I can tell you some stuff, right? Think about what I'm saying when it's spiritual warfare. It's spiritual warfare, okay? That's why today is going down the way that it is. Because there were things called upon to make that happen. Blink twice if you're okay. Double tap the screen twice as you're blinked twice to let me know that you are okay. This is a spiritual war we are fighting for at least the next 4 years. It is a spiritual war, and God prepared me for it on my exit from corporate America. That's how I can recognize it. That's how I know what is going on. That's how I can use my discernment. That's how I can listen to my intuition. This is a spiritual warfare. This is about the battlefield of the mind. Thank you for following, and thank you for the gift for earning the gift badge, for giving those gifts. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is very much spiritual warfare. You have got to get your spiritual house in order. As the old folks would say, you've got to get right with God. You've got to get your spiritual house in order. I have been praying protection prayers over myself, over my children, over my grandchildren, my entire bloodline, sideline, parallel line. You've got to get your spiritual house in order, and quickly, because this is spiritual warfare. How do I know? All the confusion. There is so much confusion. Y'all don't know what to believe. Y'all don't know what to trust. And that is by design. And that is why it is important to do this work, the winter arc work, to get centered in the eye of the storm and be able to look out and figure out what is going on and what next move you should make. And that is how our ancestors made it through. Blink twice. Tap the screen twice if you're okay. Good morning. Double tap the screen twice if you're okay. Are you following? Are you picking up what I'm throwing down? When you look at the costumes that historically in the early 1900s that they wore, it's spiritual warfare. Tell me it ain't. I always wonder, why do they burn crosses? Why do they do all this in the woods in at nighttime? It's spiritual warfare, baby. It's spiritual warfare. I'm not in a cult. I'm not in a sect or any of that. I am just telling you what I know. It's spiritual warfare. And this isn't about me, little old me, trying to fight the forces that they are working with. No, I will lose every time because they utilize things I wouldn't go near. But I can still protect myself spiritually, emotionally, and yes, physically. Okay. And so how I do that is things like these journals, okay? So the miracle journal, right now I'm on chapter 2, which is all about gratitude, right? And on a day like today, gratitude, which is like the 4th highest frequency here, gratitude is what can get you from the depths of hell and quickly. Because remember, responding is a choice. Responding is a choice. It that is big girl stuff. That's adult stuff, being able to respond. I'm no longer responding to y'all with logic about Meta acquiring Facebook, right? But this is about spiritual growth, okay? There are some great affirmations in here. We'll go through some of those, but I still got to get my 369 completed for the morning. I have not done that yet, okay? So here in this journal, you write down your desire or your goals 3 times a day, 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the middle of the day, 9 times at night. I like to do it before I go to bed. Okay. I usually do this earlier in the day, but like I said, I had that reaction this morning. This is the first time I'm writing it down. And that kind of changed my plans a little bit. Second time, I don't share what I write because that's my business, not yours. Remember, it's spiritual warfare. So, in a time of spiritual warfare, y'all need to get really good at gatekeeping. Everybody don't need to know what you know. Everybody don't need to know your business. Everybody don't need to know what you're working on until it is done. Thank you. It's on the jungle. I got it from the Jungle Store, and you know where to go to find my Jungle Store link. My Jungle Store LINK. All right, just wrote it down the third time. So here, let's go through this. Okay. So the 369 is it's about the science of habit. It's about that transmutation. Like I said, it's about mathematical systems, right? There's all this stuff in there about that, right? And so what the 369 is, like I said, you are writing your desire 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the middle of the day or the afternoon, and 9 times in the evening. Okay. And the science behind that is every time you are doing so, you are rewiring your brain, because the subconscious mind is working against you, thinking it is protecting you. Okay. So you have to counter that and rewire your brain. Every thought creates a new pathway in your brain or something like that. Don't quote me, get the book and it will tell you. Okay. So, and it tells you how to use this book. There is one thing that I wanted to read from the introduction when it says, what is the 369? You can see I have that highlighted there. And it says, by using this simple but powerful method, you will plant seeds of thought and belief into your subconscious mind. Once you complete this journal, you will look back with immense gratitude and awe as you realize how capable you are of shifting your reality. Okay. And then, there's a little bit more that it says. It does say that it cannot be done without inspired action, and goes on to say, with the consistent belief and action, you will accomplish what you once thought was impossible. It's spiritual warfare. You've got to get your spiritual house in order. Okay. With the 369 method, you will be able to manifest anything from wealth, positive relationships, friendships, good health, and so on. It goes on and talks about Nikola Tesla, the mathematical systems that govern nature, golden ratio, the Fibonacci sequence, vortex mathematics, Y369, the science of habit, and neuroplasticity. What I was just talking about, rewiring your brain. Okay. So you're probably like, what does this have to do with the miracle journal? Why are you more focused on this? I'm not more focused on this. I work out of the miracle journal every single day. To me, they are companions. In fact, all 3 of them work together. You could be going through all 3 of them at the same time if you chose to do that, right? Because they are simple, very digestible, and very easy to work through. Okay. You could be working through all 3. And the reason that, because this does introduce you to the 369 method. However, there's only 2 days in here. So I wanted a dedicated journal to be able to write my 369 down. Okay, so I'm going to show you what it looks like because I'm not showing mine, but I will show you what it looks like when it is completed. Where is it? 369, one more time. Oh, it's the next page. Okay, so this is what it looks like. This is, I got a promotion. I got a promotion this week. 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, 9 times in the evening. My net worth is $2 million. 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, 9 times in the evening, right? This is one of the hottest journals on this app, and I know that you've seen it, okay? Talks about the power of writing, and everything in life is vibration, okay? So also at the end of each week in this book, I just discovered this, it's going to ask you 3 questions. So I have not filled this out yet. I'm not going to fill it out in front of you because that is my business, not yours. But I will fill this out with these 3 questions, okay? What were my top achievements from last week? So it's reflection, right? Reflection, not dwell, not beat yourself up for what you didn't do, but what were your top achievements from this past week? How did taking action towards your goals feel? What did not happen? What actions can I take to improve? Did I fully enjoy what I was doing? How can I be more present? And it's going to ask you that, I believe, at the end of every week. Yep. Okay. And then it's going to give you an affirmation. So I will say this affirmation with you present. Okay. I am dismantling all limiting beliefs in my life. I choose to feel invincible and unstoppable. I am successful in everything that I do. I show myself mercy in times of doubt or sadness. I listen to my emotions and allow myself space to feel and heal. I am aware of my patterns and take the correct actions to grow and accomplish my biggest dreams. My work is being noticed. I will concentrate. I will believe. I will take inspired action. Everything I have been manifesting exists and is appearing in my life now. Okay. So they also have a dedicated section to affirmations in here in part 2 of the book. So there are affirmations for abundance, affirmations for relationships, affirmations for wealth, and affirmations for health. Okay. 2 pages of each. I love these affirmations. I also love the affirmations in the Miracle Journal, and we will read some of those now. Okay. So, affirmations for wealth and abundance. My mind is worth millions. Every penny I spend is returned to me tenfold. I get paid to exist. I don't work for money, money works for me. Okay. I am always at the right place at the right time. My name is spoken of amongst the most successful people. I am in alignment with the frequency of generational wealth. My wealth compounds exponentially daily. I am now stepping into the identity of my next level. My energy is expensive and exclusive. My presence is a privilege. Remember when Kanye said, my presence is a present, so y'all can kiss my... Okay. My family line is now blessed with wealth. My existence pays for itself. God intended me to live a life of riches. I'm in alignment with the frequency of luxury. I live an affluent life because it was written in the stars for me. I am a money magnet. The more wealth in my hands, the more good circulates in the universe. Circles around me empower me. Okay, there are affirmations for attracting love and self-love, right? And then there's affirmations for luck and opportunity. Do you see how this is going to help you build and not be a victim during the next 4 years, right? Because let's go back to the day everybody sent in their ticket. When the numbers came back in and there was a lot of disappointment. There was a lot of anger. There was a lot of fear. So where does that fit? Where does that fit? Which book is that? Now I'm confusing myself. I think it was the book I just had. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of fear, there was a lot of resentment, there was a lot of anger, all lower vibration. And that is why I started working on getting my spiritual house in order right then and there, right? Because it is human. You should acknowledge those feelings. You should explore those feelings. And you should use them to be able to raise yourself higher. Again, that transmutation, alchemy, as some people call it. So the Miracle Journal is on sale for only $6.99. The 369 is on a flash sale. I can't remember the pricing, but it's in the orange cart. And the Shadow Work Journal, this is the second edition. The first edition is only $7.99 from like $20, $21, $22. And you get the second edition one free. Okay? You've got to get your spiritual house in order. You've got to turn off some of the things that you are watching. You have to unfollow some of the people you are following, because it is ultra important that you manage not only your expectations, but manage your reality. And how you manage your reality is by protecting your peace, by protecting your energy, by having and holding to boundaries, right? I've had to do some of that with my own family. And it's not that anyone in my family is doing me harm, but we had to have some realignment of expectations around my role and what is not my role, right? We had to, you know, I've had to, this isn't even so much about anyone else, but I've had to set boundaries and hold to them to protect myself, because this is spiritual warfare, right? I'm the oldest daughter. I'm the oldest child. I'm the oldest grandchild. A lot of people think I talk a lot about that because I want a prize, a cookie, or reward for it. It is part of my branding, but not in the sense that people think. I bring it up because a lot of families don't know how much we struggle in that role. A lot of people don't understand what all they put on us, how they transfer their energy to us, how we absorb it, and we're carrying everyone else's energy, and how that impacts other areas of our life. And then we are often also the black sheep. We are also often the scapegoat of the family. And that impacts your self concept. And self concept is one of the manifesting methods in this book. Self concept. Self concept refers to the perceptions, beliefs, and ideas we have about ourselves. It is who we believe we are, what we believe we are capable of, and the identity we embody. In so many ways, everyone in our reality reflects our beliefs about ourselves back onto us. One of the most effective ways to alter the way people perceive us is by changing our own perceptions of ourselves, by embodying the self concept of the version of ourselves that has the desire. We call it in effortlessly. I just said a mouthful. So double tap that screen if you're okay. Double tap that screen if you're okay, right? Being the oldest child, grandchild, and niece often meant a lot of responsibility. You often took blame for things that had nothing to do with you, that were not your fault. You were parentified and probably way too young. You received duality. You received double talk, where you were parentified but then told you needed to stay in a child's place. All of the things impact you. They impact your relationships with yourself, with your children, with your significant other or spouse, with your friends, with your coworkers. You probably struggle with boundaries because of the way that a parent handled or mishandled you. Because they treated you badly, you began to see people treating you badly as love, and it's not normal. We've normalized things that are not normal. And it's unfortunate. And you have, and especially once you begin to unpack it and you do the work and you begin healing yourself, that is when you are really going to become the black sheep and or scapegoat. But it's temporary, because when a woman heals herself, she heals everyone around her. She heals everyone around her. It is about radical self-acceptance. The thickest of these is the shadow work journal. To get to radical self-acceptance, you've got to do the inner work. You've got to do the work. Okay? Y'all not wrong. Something feels very different about this app. Now, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to let a little logic through here, a little pragmatism, a little practicality through here. That happens because it was reset, whether it's plugged into anyone else's servers, which I don't believe it is, because their servers were already in the United States. The algorithm has been Trumpified, is what you're feeling. And cognitive dissonance, you are in shock, because this was done in a way to dysregulate your emotional system on purpose. You are denying what is right in front of your face. The algorithm has been Elania Muskified. You're blaming the wrong people because they are doing what they have to do to survive, just like we all have to do what we have to do to survive. You're looking at the wrong billionaire. The person who wants to buy it has clearly stated that they believe the US government should have a 50% stake in the second largest social media platform in the United States. Double tap the screen and blink twice if you are okay. Because it sounds like Yahtzee, Germany. And fight or flight is kicking in. You've got to dysregulate. You've got to regulate your emotional system. You've got to get your spiritual house in order. And then once you've gotten your spiritual house in order, it is time to strategize and build. It is time to strategize and build. And that's why I'm not leaving the app. You have to know what types of content to post. The safe types of content, if that's the route you want to go. And you have to know that if you don't want to post the safe types of content, that it's going to be seen by less people. So you need to augment that with other methods, including the spiritual and manifestation. My feet got cold. Now I turned it off and now I'm warming up. I can't win for losing, y'all. I can't win for losing. Okay? But you've got to get your spiritual house in order. You have to get your spiritual house in order. It's spiritual warfare. And the only reason I'm okay is because I've been doing the spiritual work. Because I refuse to live in fear for the next 4 years. I absolutely refuse to live that way. I'm upping my nutrition game, making sure I get physical exercise in, because all of those things are going to build you up spiritually, right? Making sure I look good and feel good, even when I don't, because that will lift you from the lower frequency to higher frequency. When you look good, you feel good, right? Putting on some music to start your day. What are the things you can do to make yourself feel safe and grounded every day? Because that's what I see right now. A lot of people don't feel safe. How can you make yourself feel safe? How can you make yourself feel protected? How can you make yourself feel loved? All those things you wish someone or think someone should have done for you as a child, you are now responsible for doing for yourself. Affirmations, right? I know that I am spiritually protected. I know that I am loved by God. I am protected by God. But when your system is dysregulated because they've been pushing buttons for a really long time, it's hard to see that. It's hard to feel that. It's hard to believe that. And that is where your spirit is losing. And the spirit of chaos, the spirit of confusion takes over. You have to know that. You have to understand that. Probably making the mic sound kind of crazy. Okay. So I think I'm going to get ready to go anyway and do some practical work. And then when I come live again, we're going to talk more about building and monetizing during this time, because it can still be done. And I think you can probably make even more money. It's all up to you. Remember, responding is a decision, it is a choice to respond in the first place and how you respond. My response is I am talking about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, because that's what today is for me. It is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. All the rest, like I said, I've been spiritually preparing for, and I am spiritually protected. This or something better. This or something better. What God does for others, He does for me now and more. Write those down. This or something better. That is surrendering. This or something better. What God has done for others, He now does for me and more. No weapon formed against me shall prosper, and every tongue that rise up against me shall in judgment shall be condemned. Got to declare it. Got to say it. And it will be so. Now I feel like I want to say what Maximus said in Gladiator. What we do in life echoes in eternity. You are protected by God. You are loved by God. You've got this. But you've got to get your spiritual house in order. You've got to reclaim control of your emotions. You have to, because this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. By this afternoon, chaos will definitely, and more confusion. There's already talks of immigration raids in Chicago starting tomorrow, which is only about an hour, hour and a half away from me. So you've got to get your spiritual house in order. It does not mean that you become apathetic. It does not mean that you don't care, that you become, that you detach yourself or disassociate, because detachment is good. It doesn't mean disassociation. I was talking with a friend who's also very spiritual about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about a situation. She said, "It sounds like you're disassociating." I said, "No, I'm actually not. This is just my firm boundary. I very much care, but I will never care more than they themselves care. I won't. And me caring does not mean I have to throw myself in front of a bus. Because again, as the oldest daughter, oldest grandchild, oldest niece, I was often expected, both explicitly and implicitly, to throw myself in front of a bus for everyone else. And that stops. That has stopped. And it will never happen again. I am not throwing myself in front of a bus for anyone else. I am not fighting anyone else's battles for them. I'm just not. I will love, I will support, I will pray for, but I am not fight, because there has never been a single time in history that anyone fought my battles for me. There has never been a time in history when anyone in my family has thrown themselves in front of a bus for me. Not one time. Not a parent has done it for me. So why should I be doing it for other people? And no, that's not me carrying on that. That is just the reality of it. No one is coming to save you. You've got to save yourself. No one is coming to save you. You are an adult. Adulting is hard, but you can do it. you can do it. And the way to do it is to spiritually prepare yourself, to spiritually pick up your cross every day, to pick up your sword, your belt, and your shield, which are your spiritual warfare tools. You can Google that. You can Google spiritual warfare in the Bible, and there's a verse from Ephesians. I can't remember the numbers and all that, but when and if I do come back and talk about all that, I will have that prepared. But it talks about the sword, it talks about the shield, it talks about the belt and how you protect yourself spiritually, right? There's books out there on the battlefield of the mind and things like that, because that's what this is. It is psychological warfare and it is also spiritual warfare. Those are the times we are living in. And I lived through that in corporate America back, between 2011 and 2013. It is psychological warfare and it is spiritual warfare. So you need to get ready. You need to prepare yourself because we are living in a time when you may, for example, this sounds very insignificant, but there are people who, because the app was banned, they reacted out of anger when it was very clear that they were going to be turning the app back on. It was very clear. The whole turning it on and off, in my opinion, was to make Biden look bad. Make blame shift that this was a Biden issue and that the other guy was coming in and being the savior. I do not believe they are plugged into FB servers. I think that would take a lot longer than the time that the app was out. Okay? Could be wrong. I really don't care. To be honest with you, it doesn't matter to me either way. I knew that when the app came back, when I knew that it was coming back, I knew that it would not be the same. And if you don't believe me, you can go to YT. There's a video where I talked about it. There are posts that I made on FB where I talk about it. It's not going to be the same. Anybody with true business sense knew that. Anybody with life experience, right? Because it's not just about business experience, education. It's about life experience. And I knew that this app would not be the same. Right? Y'all think it is Meta. And the fact is they have put him into some humiliation rituals recently. They've made him submit. They've made him submit. They are not here to make him money. They are here to make them money. It's right in front of your face. It's right in front of your face. And yes, there are influencers and coaches out here who are right now jockeying and aligning themselves. And I'm going to just cut it off there and you can fill in the blank. They are jockeying and aligning themselves. They are saying anything to get the views, to get the engagement, so that they can keep themselves up high in the algorithm. Right? When you look at these algorithms, there are two platforms in particular who are owned by the same company, that their algorithm, unless you really brick by brick build it, because you can build your algorithm on the other platforms. Y'all just don't know how, or you don't care to. Okay? So brick by brick, you can build your platform, your algorithm on the other platforms so that you're not inundated with negative content. The reason you get inundated with negative content on those apps is because you interact with it, because you don't block it, because you don't tell the algorithm to not show it to you. Now, it's not quite the setup that the skies are blue has, But you can train those algorithms to not put that stuff in front of you. They're gonna test you. But because y'all, not only do you interact with it, you share it. So you're telling the algorithm to send more of it to you. Once I spot it, I barely look at it. I scroll past it super duper fast. And if they keep showing it to me, I hit those three dots and I say, I don't want to see this. And I exit out. So I see less and less of it until I no longer see it. And then when it is asking you, what do you want to see? You need to tell it yes or no if you want to see more of that. But yes, those other two platforms are all about feeding the negative and the chaos. And that is what they want to bring here. That is what the old bird app is like. Why? Because it destroys your ability to regulate your emotions. And that combined with lack of education, and that education does not just mean college. Y'all need to stop thinking that. Education does not just mean college. There are times when I use it, and it does refer to the fact that I did get bachelor's and master's degrees. But education does not just mean college. You have education if you graduated high school. You have education if you did an apprenticeship. You have education if you've read books. You have education if you've got certifications. Education covers a lot of different things. But when I say uneducated, I mean people who listen to sound bites that are carefully crafted for them to react to, that read headlines that are carefully curated and crafted for them to react to, and they make decisions and react from that lower space of frequency simply on what was put in front of them and not actually dig and do the homework and see if it's even true in the first place. Case in point, this whole thing about Trump changing the child support law, when until he is sworn in, which is either happening now or soon to happen, he has not made any laws because he had no ability to. See, and the reasoning mind can get to that conclusion and quickly when their emotional system is regulated. And furthermore, the executive branch has no say so in family law. Family law is done at the state level. Child support is a family law issue. Now, they can influence the states with different funding opportunities if they do certain things that they can do. But there is so much more to it. That doesn't even sound right, that just because a man pays $17 a week in child support, that he now gets to claim that child on his taxes. And then when you go to Google search it, there is no source, it is nowhere to be found. But emotional reactivity has it spreading like wildfire. And then I see my women. I see the women like me who have done the work. And they're like, I wouldn't even listen to that. That doesn't even make any sense. La estúpida. Right? So you've got to do the inner work, the miracle journal, the 369, shadow work. I like all three. And these two are actually by the same company, and they have an app. And so there are QR codes for you to go in and download the app and listen to various meditations and things like that. This one does not come from that same company, but it is still a very good journal. I really love it. I love it. I'm so mad I wound up creasing this down here, but that just means I'm doing the work. It's not just sitting there looking pretty. At first, I wasn't even going to write in it. I was going to do all the exercises in another journal. But I decided it was more powerful to actually write them in this journal. Okay. So now it is time for me to go, because I still need to do my reflections for the week. I'll probably do that later tonight because it's go time. That's one thing I am loving seeing. All the people who said this is the golden age, right? It's not the golden age because of who's in the White House. There are a lot of people giving y'all a lot of double talk. Y'all got to be really, really careful who you are getting in their energetic field, because there are some very nefarious people out there who are saying anything to y'all just for shock and awe, and they end up brainwashing you. There's a lot of cult like tactics happening in the space out there where you are losing your marbles. You're losing, and I'm not speaking to anyone here specifically, just you, like, because I got to say somebody, right? There's a lot of nefarious stuff. And one of the things I've learned, because there were some people in corporate America that I really admired and respected. And you can't take everything somebody says just because you really admire and respect them and let it become your reality. Let it alter you. Let it change you from being who you are. Now, that is not saying you should not be coachable, because remember, we talked about your coachability index, right? Your willingness to learn and be coached. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, again, because of that lack of boundaries, because of fawning, people pleasing, that you are more focused on pleasing them than your actual desires and goals, your actual purpose. And that's a very dangerous position to be in. And I see a lot of people making that mistake. And then it turns into the coaching industry is shady. No, you just went in and you didn't take your brain with you, and you got bit, and now you want to blame somebody. Somebody's got to pay for the mistake you made, instead of you owning that you did not use your discernment, that you were not spiritually prepared, your spiritual house was not in order, and now you want to blame shift. You want to blame everyone else. And so your coach ends up being the scapegoat. Now, it's not to say that some of them are wrong, right? Like somebody just got sentenced to 10 years for trying to take a hit out on her competition and people who were exposing her. That's wild, right? That person deserves that. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that at all. Jeez, how long have I been on here? An hour. Okay. So I am going to go, and I will be back this afternoon. The plan for today is live stream, live stream, live stream. This is just a closed clock app live stream. My next live stream, I will be live on multiple platforms. So I'm going to knock out some things, and then I will be back live probably in an hour, sometime between in an hour and 2 o'clock. So if you are not following me, make sure you click up here and that you follow and hit that bell so you get the notifications when I am live. And I thank you for being here. If you grabbed one of those journals, I thank you for that. Also, it's not like they make me a lot of money. So I'm just telling you my experience and why I use them and why I think they are great, right? I don't have to lie about it, because we live in the trust economy. And right now, unfortunately, a lot of y'all don't even trust yourselves because your emotional system is so dysregulated. So dysregulated. So, alrighty, I will see you next time. Bye bye.